So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the movement drills, and then we're gonna grab a partner and do the sweep. But we're gonna spend a lot of time doing the drills first. So you're gonna get on your side with the shrimp. Okay? You can imagine now that you're holding the lapel and you're holding the sleeve. My elbows are still in. Okay, maybe I start in the closed guard. I post my foot. I have to shrimp to get on my side. That's always the point of the shrimp. I post my foot on the side I want to push my butt to. So if I want to lay on my left shoulder, I always post my right foot. So imagining I have 4 fingers in the lapel, and I'm holding the sleeve. I've unlocked my guard. I place my right foot on the ground because I'm holding the sleeve on this side, moving out to my side, and moving my legs so that they're parallel to each other. A little like 90-degree roughly bend, maybe a little further than that. Dropping this leg down, and now I'm going to arch my back a little bit, like opening my chest, and scissor my legs like so. Okay? What I'm doing here, imagine someone's on top of you, and you're holding their arm, so that when you kick them to the side, they can't put their arm down on this side, and they fall. Okay? So, again, I capture my grips in the collar and the sleeve. I get completely on my side. So you notice I'm not just doing this. I don't want the angle of my legs so that they're going up towards the ceiling or across towards the person's shoulder. I want to get completely on my side so that when I arch back and scissor my legs, I'm pushing them with that top leg onto their back on this side and pulling their bottom leg underneath. Okay? So we're going to spend 2 minutes. You shrimp. You're going to start really visualize. A lot of your training right now is going to be very visual. Imagine the person's on top of you in the guard. Imagine you're grabbing their collar and their sleeve. Could even be their neck and their arm. Okay? I'm getting on my side and putting my knee across their stomach, dropping my leg down by their leg, arching my back. That's pulling their butt off of their heels, and then I'm bumping them over with my legs. Okay? So I want you guys to spend 2 minutes going through that visually, performing the movement drill on your own. 1, 2. Guys, when you do this, get off the floor, you put it like, yes, like that. Now bend your bottom leg a little bit. Good. And now at the same time, scissor both of your legs. Good. Go back. Good. And equal scissoring of both legs. One forward and one back. That's why they call it scissor sweep. Exactly, just like that. Okay. Don't forget to make that chest proud, guys, and pull your shoulders back. That's going to pull their butt off of their heels. All right. Next drill, guys, adding on. Push them. I'm pushing up. And ultimately, I want to knock them over to the side. So I really want to check my shoulders. There's a difference between this. You see how my shoulders are not vertical from floor to ceiling and stacked. Here. So that now, when I scissor, they call it scissor sweep because I'm scissoring my legs. I'm not just kicking with this leg or just pulling with this one. It's equal. And it's not just my knees. The knees aren't strong. It's the hips. The hips are strong. Okay? So my legs are bent, and I'm pulling them with my grips and arching my back. So when I move away from them, they're moving forward, so their shoulders are coming over my shoulders. If you ever try to scissor sweep someone who's sitting on their heels, really hard. You want to get them so that they're falling forward. And a good cue for that is watching their head and watching their shoulders. If their head is back here, it's going to be very hard. If you get their head closer to over your head, that means it's time to go. I scissor my legs, and now what I'm doing is grabbing the mat with my heel. Ultimately, that's going to be their hip or their hamstring, and pulling myself up to the mount. So the whole sweep looks like this. right? That scissoring action from the legs helps to turn your hips over as well. So you're almost belly down already. And then your heel grabbing their thigh, right now we can just grab the mat with our heel, helps to pull you on top. And we're aiming to get our hips right on top of their hips. Okay? Let's spend just like a minute doing the finishing portion, finishing on your knees. Right? And then we'll actually grab a partner and we'll complete the movement. 1, 2. We're going to be in the closed guard. Again, we can do this with minimal skin-to-skin contact. And everything we do moving forward is going to be like this. I'm going to grab his sleeve. Okay? I'm going to grab his collar. Normally, I would grab a little deeper in his collar. But I'm going to grab a little lower today so that I don't actually have to touch his neck. Okay? I'm going to post my foot, and I'm going to shrimp on my side. When I do that, I'm going to bring my knee across his chest, okay? My knee is going to come just below his chest, pointing to the left. My bottom leg is going to slide down, and it's going to hook just outside of his knee, and it's lined up with his shin. My calf is lined up with his shin. Now, when I arch back, I need to make sure I pull his butt off of his heels. See how his head's starting to come over mine? If I'm here and I try to scissor my legs, it's not happening. We'll go into that next. We still have options, just not the scissor sleeve. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull, and Tom's actually going to kind of lean forward to help me. But I'm going to arch my back and move my shoulders, but my arms are going to stay bent. Because if I just keep my arms, if I straighten my arms as I move away, he doesn't move, you see? I want to keep my arms fixed. I want to move him and then scissor my legs. And you'll notice my hips have turned over naturally with that scissoring motion. I'm going to grab him with my heel right on his hip, right, wrap it around his hamstring, and pull myself up into the mount. From there, I'm just going to hop up, and I'll get into Tom's guard. All right? And Tom's going to do the same thing. Slide his hand in the lapel, and he's going to hold my sleeve. For right now, I'm going to take my right hand, I'm just going to cup his lapel. Okay? I'm going to actually lean forward a little bit, because that's the timing for this move. If I'm doing this, I don't want you guys to get the idea that Tom should try to pull me forward. Tom's going to pull me forward after I'm already leaning forward. He's just going to finish me off, okay? So when I start leaning forward, that's Tom's time to start to open his guard, get on his side. And as I'm driving in towards him, he's going to continue to pull me and scissor his legs and finish in the mounted position, okay? I want you guys to go at that speed right now so that you can feel everything within the movement. It's really important. What are my hands doing? Am I on my side? Go through your checklist. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. Find a partner, guys. 1, 2. Sweep his legs deep. So get to your side.
What I have to do
Use your knee
is
shield across
so
the
that
belly.
over enough.
Pull him and then scissor.
I mean,
Yeah. Exactly. Now, use your heel to pull you to mount.
Now that's a purple belt scissor sweep.
Make sure your knee gets it close. Now, move your go back. So you really want to open your hips on this movement. So if you're in a crunch position and just like, if you're here and just doing this, you lose power. You want to be able to open your hips and use your hips in this movement. So make sure you're not trying to finish it crunch down, but get some distance between your torso and your knees. Good. So get your move your shoulders away so that your yes. Now pull. Yes. Good. Yeah. Okay. And now, so freeze right here. You see his hands on the mat? He already has base. We need to pull this hand up to the torso so he doesn't have base. All right. And what you want to do is try to get your calf, like right there you go, put it all the way on the floor. So you're actually pulling his knees
So
to the inside so he loses base. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you want to use
More about
the,
shifting position.
you
not
want to
moving
use the
position.
back of this leg to pull his knee in.
Yep.
Okay, so lean him over your body a little bit further. Yes, now says you're good. Excellent. So now you're starting to understand like
Yeah.
the mechanics of the movement, how every part of your body is working
Yeah.
together.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
So there's a certain posture in every position that's important to accomplish it. So if Tom wasn't on it, this is the posture. Okay? And when I go for the sweep, I don't want to stay tucked in like this because if my hips are flexed like this, I'm only using my knees and my knees aren't very strong. Right? I want to open my torso up, extending my hips, and then using my hips to complete the movement. Also, you'll see the distance between my knees here. Okay? If I drop this knee too low, the person will sprawl on my legs and lay on them, and then they'll pass my guard. It makes it harder to transition to other techniques as well. So you want to keep a certain amount of space between your knees, right? The bottom leg, you'll see what connection I'm trying to make, and usually it's an indicator of whether or not I'm going to get the sweep or not. So look at the back of my knee on his knee, right there. I'm trying to push his knee, his right knee, towards his left knee as my right leg is moving over the top. If I was here, like this is where people get in trouble with the scissor sweep. They're fighting themselves, okay? I want this drop down, but maybe I got too far away. Not really good either because I don't have a lot of power to push that knee. I might have to switch to something like this, pushing it down. If his knees are really wide, it's also an indicator that it's not a good time to do the sweep because that makes his hips low and he's further away from me. And it's really hard, even if I have the back of my leg on his knee, to get him off balance because he has base with his legs now. So what I'm looking for is come forward, is that knee to be pointed in like that so I can push it, you see, to take him off balance. Does that make sense, guys? A lot of moving parts in something that's super fundamental. Let's move forward now. We're going to do another movement drill, technical get up. And again, and we're going to shrimp on our side. Okay? From here, what we're going to do is arch our back like we're going for the scissor sweep, but then we're going to come up to our elbow and then our hand. This foot's going to be on the floor. I'm going to pick myself up off of my right foot and left hand, swivel my hips, and plant my foot so that my both feet and hand are making a triangle and I'm going to stand up. I'll come back down in reverse. I'll post my hand on the floor and I'll shoot my foot back through the hole and back to my back. I'll switch sides, little shrimp, okay? Bring my shoulders back, come up to my elbow, and then my hand. You notice that little subtle movement there. Shift my shoulders back, okay? Come up to my elbow. I moved my hips just a little bit and came up to my hand. Posting my weight on my left foot and right hand, I'm lifting my hips up, swiveling my hips, and planting my right foot behind my right hand so it makes a triangle. Let's give it a shot, guys. 1, 2. Very hard. Open, elbow, shift, hand. Let's dial in a couple points. I'm on my back in the guard. I have my hand in the lapel and on the sleeve. And I post my foot on the mat, shift my hips out, and bring my knee across. My timing was off, or they caught on to what I was going to do, so they sit back on their heels. I opened my torso to scissor, okay? They're not going anywhere. And just like any other move in jiu-jitsu, you don't want to just pause and think, I screwed up. That sucks. Now they're past your guard, now they're mounting you, now they're finishing you. Instead, it's like, what can I do now? What did their adjustment mean? For what openings did they give me? So they shifted back on their heels. That takes weight off of me. I opened up my shoulder. That gives me the ability to easily come up with my elbow. Now I have a frame on them. Their weight is back. I have a small window of opportunity to get up. So what I'm going to do is just shift my hips slightly so it's easier to come up on my hand. Because now my shoulders are coming closer to my knees, come up on my hand, and now I'm standing up. Face. Okay? So what that looks like in the partner, Tommy. Again, I'm just going for move one, scissor sweep. Hand in the lapel, 4 fingers, holding the sleeve here, opening my guard. Hey, maybe he's driving in right now a little bit. And I shift out. And right when I go to sleep, he pulls back again. All right, I open my shoulder, post my hand on the mat. Shift my hips back just a little bit. Now that I have like a little extra leverage on him, I may not have to shift my hips back quite as much. But I'm keeping him away with this top arm. You see now, some of you guys weren't really using that top arm, but that becomes important when you have somebody on top of you. And now with this hand posted, pushing off of him, lifting myself off of his body, my foot could be on the mat or I could just completely use him. I'm popping up, okay? Of course, there's gonna be implications of if I was slow, okay? He sat back. When I go to stand up, he tries to grab my legs again. We're ready for that. There's more moves to string onto this. It started attacking his neck, started attacking shoulder locks, triangles, all kinds of things. So, again, the grips are set first, sleeve and lapel. I feel him leaning forward just a little bit, so I shift out, looking for the scissor sweep, but he catches on and pulls back. And right when he does that, I use him pulling back to help pull me up. Posting my hand, and I'm sideways here, guys. Don't try to get up like this. You don't have any base behind you. Sideways. You see how my hips are outside his hips? And now, just kind of punching my knuckles into his collarbone, I'm springing up. Again, I could go right into a neck attack, a forced sprawl, go behind him, or just get away. Questions on that, guys? So we're adding the technical get up onto the scissor sweep. 1, 2.
Come on, Jeremiah, this is forever. You gotta make it perfect.
Having trouble with this? Anybody need any help?
And then you get back.
Straight.
Listen, don't bring your left foot between his legs. Keep it on the outside for him. Yes, you go for the scissor sweep, he pulls back.
Nice. Duke would be proud.
Shoot up from there. Good, exactly. Explain it. Gives us one other option. So maybe we feel like we're in a situation where, right, we're on the ground, but being on the ground is actually safer in this particular situation than standing back up. You know, it could be a tournament situation where, you know what, every time I stand up, they score 2 points on me. Or even worse, if I stand up, the way they take me down is very aggressive and I land on my head every time. So that's not fun either. So not only are they getting 2, they're like slamming me on my head. That's not fun. So instead, what we're going to do is like look at another attacking option when someone pulls back. So we wanted the scissor sweep, but they caught on and they pulled their weight back. So we're going to take advantage of that with a different option. Okay. Same grips, same start, okay? We're doing this as a progression, so nothing in the beginning should change. And something that you guys have to understand about drilling a progression and how a progression works is very common for someone to say, well, I'm really going from move 3. I have move 1, move 2, move 3, or move A, B, and C. So right now we've discussed like move A and B. I went for the scissor sweep because he was leaning forward. He pulls back, and I stand up. Well, what happens is people are like, well, every time I go for the scissor sweep, they pull back. So instead, he's leaning forward, and I just try to stand up. And it doesn't work because I never forced a reaction from him. I need to do move A to create opportunity for move B. So when you drill, just make sure you're still going through the sequences, through move A, through move B, or A, B, C, depending on how many parts there are. In this situation, again, I'm going for the scissor sweep. He's leaning forward. I go for the scissor sweep. He pulls back. The adjustment on this one, guys, is I'm going to put my foot in his hip. See my right leg? It's going to track right to the hip, the bottom of the foot. I'm going to retract my right knee towards my right shoulder, and then I'm going to use the left foot, pushing off of his left hip, launching my hips up and pulling his sleeve across to go for the triangle. Guys, we're not going to do like a lot of adjustments on the triangle. Again, we're trying to avoid a lot of skin-to-skin contact right now. So instead, I'm just going to make a little connection. This is the concept right now that we're focusing on. We can work on our triangle later on. So, again, not forgetting that I'm actually using move A to create the environment for move B. I do everything I'm supposed to that we've been doing the entire class, getting on my side, bringing the knee across, shifting back. Now is where everything changes. Bottom of the foot and the hip. Okay, as I push off of his hips, I'm kind of bringing my knee in and lifting myself up, pulling my hips back into his torso and crossing my feet. We'll just stop there. We won't do the whole triangle. Okay? Does that make sense? Anybody need to see that again?
Yeah.
Okay. So one more time. Looking for the scissor sweep. He pulls back. Foot goes in the hip. You see my heel is almost connected with my knee here. Keeping him away with the foot and the hip, I'm bringing my knee, retracting my knee to my shoulder. And then at the same time as I launch my leg over his shoulder, I pull my hips into him and create the angle for the triangle. Okay? There I would just pull my shin and lock it up. Right now, the idea is just reclose your guard with only his head and arm inside instead of both arms inside. Does that make sense? Let's give it a shot, guys. Nice and slow. 1, 2. Last move. Legs locked around their head and arm.
Just for this one. See my hips are up. Then my hips are down. See me slow down. Then you shoot my hips up. Try that one. So I'm going to sit back. This is that grip I was talking about was open. So pull that back. Keep my look out. Okay. And when you shoot me in, I want you to lift your hips up to the ceiling. There. And grab. Yeah. Feel much deeper at that.
Yeah, no.
That. Yep.
Much less of a stretch to get it.
That's just a systematic approach that you know, that's an example of a systematic approach that you can use in all your jiu-jitsu. Little decision trees. All right, if I go for this, this is a reaction. I'm ready for that reaction. I'm moving on to the next thing. Right, and ultimately the person gets further and further behind, and leads to getting the sweep or the submission. Another example of how maybe I'm not built for triangles, or you know, maybe I like triangles, but you know, I'm short and stocky, and the other person is like really broad. It's just not the ideal submission for that particular scenario, that particular role, that particular opponent. So maybe instead everything else looks the same. He's leaning forward. I go for the scissor sweep. He pulls back. I retract my knee and launch my leg over. But instead of going for the triangle, I look for the arm lock. Okay. There's always other options, and we could go on and on from there. That ultimately turns into the collar sleeve guard system, which I think is one of the best fundamental guard systems there are. So, you know, there's shoulder lock attacks. There's all kinds of things we can do there. You ultimately, you take systems and you adapt them to your strengths. Okay. All right, we're going to stop there, guys. Nice work today. Everybody line up. 1, 2.